Hello everyone. In this trimester, I have learned advanced communication skills. So now I'm going to talk about presentation skills in this video. For many people, they are always presenting themselves. There are millions of presenters living around us. For example, the manager might have a conference with his or her colleagues every day in a company. Teachers will give presentation every day as well. However, giving a presentation might cause more anxiety than any other forms of communication. No matter what communication anxiety, it can definitely be an obstacle to effect communication in different situations. For teachers, they are always presenting themselves and their courses, even when they are not making formal presentations. The presentation can be anything from a few sentences to a 10-minute talk in a class or 30-minute conference paper. As a teacher, we need to know the exact purpose and goals of the presentation and when to provide visual aids for our students, and when to provide notes or explanations, when not to explain, and to let students talk or work by themselves. However, students usually would imitate what exactly the teacher did before. Teachers should do exactly what he or she wants the students to do. In order to inform our students about the topic and to persuade them to think or to do something, we need to teach them how to present and show how to present well by presenting our own presentations. A good presentation should be clear, be organized, and be informative. And the presentators should be confident and be creative. In order to have good presentation, we should practice a lot. There are several things that we need to prepare before our presentation. Who are the target audience? The size of the group and their attitude towards the presentation or our topic. We need to analyze the audience, and we can assume that the listeners have already know what we want to talk about, and we also can't force the listeners to make unreasonable jump when we are assuming that the learners can follow our logic. There are basically two purposes in presenting: to grab the attention of the audience, to persuade the audience. So, according to the purpose of the presentation, how can we present our presentations to our students? Number one is focus on the audience. Our presentation is not about ourselves. It is about our audience, our students. What benefits will the audience get from listening to us? What do you want them to think, to feel, and to do as a result of listening to us? We need to have clear objects. Number two, don't make your presentation overload, because too much information is not what our students waiting to see. And giving too much information is that we are sending the signal to the audience to ask them to start their daydreaming. When we use a PowerPoint, it should not be the notes of our presentation. Not to read it, but we need to tell it to our audience. We should use powerful images and pictures that are much more effective to get the message across. Number three is to keep our presentation simple. I believe less is more. We can cut some parts that are not useful and only use information and parts that are really matters to our presentation. It is related to point one. What do we want the audience to think, to feel, and to do? If the content doesn't match to the topic we talked about, we can just cut it out. And try to use simple words into our presentation to make sure it is easy to follow and understandable for our students. And next part is rehearse. If you are serious about success, then we should get serious about rehearsing. Before our presentation, we should prepare and rehearse our presentation before we actually stand on the stage. If you don't prepare, then prepare to fail. Number 5 is to dress appropriately. Dress to impress. Dress in an appropriate way can give a smart impression to our students. Basically, students might feel stressful or strange, or sometimes they might think we dress like an idiot to them. When the students usually met the new teachers, they will think like this. In order to help our students pay more attention on the content of our presentation, it is better to dress like a teacher. And number 6 is to be passionate. Be enthusiastic to the content of our presentation. Be passionate to our own topic, so that students can be motivated and be stimulated by our presentation. The environment of the classroom can also be dynamic and lively. Number 7 is be aware of our tone. Most of the time, students are the listeners of the teacher in the classroom. It is not helpful if a teacher always uses the same tone to speak, because students might feel so tired of listening to the same tone or even give up listening to the teacher. Students might lose the interest in learning this particular subject. And next one is the facial expression and the body language. Sometimes too much expression can cause distraction, and students will focus on teacher's expression rather than on the speech. Moderate body language is needed in a teaching process in the presentation, but sometimes audience might be interrupted by showing too much gestures or body languages. So, to conclude, to make a good presentation is very difficult for a teacher, because in reality, students are very different. We can use the same way and to use the same presentation, the same speech to teach different students. We need to be aware of our presentations in our teaching process. Okay, thank you for listening.